Hey, what's up guys? So in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why I decided to leave Cebu City and move to Siquijor in greater detail to see if I can relate to some of you guys on the kind of things that led to me making this decision. I'm also going to talk to you about things that you should really consider if you do want to experience this kind of thing as well. Like if the vision that you have of leaving your Western country is to be in a tropical paradise and you want to live that, dreamy lifestyle for your retirement or for your discovery trip, or if you're a digital nomad and you're looking at videos of these beautiful places and you're like, I want to live there. There's some big things that you really need to take into account for making something like that happen, particularly here in the Philippines. Pros and cons to everywhere. Coming to a small, beautiful island like Siquijor, I'm well aware of some of the drawbacks. And of course, over time, I'm going to experience those things. And then along the way, I'm going to report back to you guys on what it's really like, how much of it is, manageable, how much of it might not be manageable. And we'll see how it goes. I just know for sure that this is something that I wanted to try. And that's really just about it. I figured if I don't do it, I might regret it. And I don't like that feeling. So why did I leave Cebu City? The place that I have been for the last several months, like quite a while since I've been back in the Philippines after leaving Dumaguete and Valencia, where I spent some time. At that time in my life, Cebu City made a lot of sense. And I still like Cebu City. So I want to make that point clear. And it'll always be a place that I go back to and could be a place that I end up staying for a while again. Very familiar with Cebu, very comfortable with Cebu. But at the end of the day, it's a big city and there is a lot of traffic. I definitely like the rawness of Cebu City, but it doesn't mean it's not going to sort of get to you after a while. Definitely makes sense to take a little break from the city. The other thing is, guys, when you get to a place in your life where you break away from a monotonous lifestyle, from back home, and all of a sudden you have this newfound freedom, financial freedom, discovering new places. It's kind of an addiction in a good way. It's a fun feeling. It's something that a lot of people don't get an opportunity to have in their life. And so for me to come to the Philippines and have that be a big part of what I've been doing for 3 years, I don't want to just stop that. No matter what, I'm always going to want to travel. And the dilemma that you guys are going to face on whether or not you keep a home base and you travel and you come back to that place, which is essentially what I was doing, you do have to determine whether or not that makes sense for you budget-wise. For example, like if you're renting a place in Cebu City, and then you take off traveling, you're booking Airbnbs, you're staying in hotels. This all comes down to how long you're gone for. The longer you go, the less it makes sense for you to keep a condo, unless you have the budget and it doesn't matter, or if you have so many things that you just need a home base. Well, for me, being pretty light and being kind of a minimalist, when I was gone for a few weeks, I'm essentially renting a condo to keep like 3 things, like a pair of shoes and a few extra things just sitting there, right? So the longer I was gone, the less it made sense. And the realization that I can always zip back to Cebu City. I can always go back and book at one of my favorite condos. And I can always just quickly get back in the groove with friends that I have in Cebu City. With me deciding that I wanted to do a chapter in Siquijor to really get a feel for this place and to see what it's like to live on a small island, and a beautiful tropical island at that, with a lot of my favorite things to do here: snorkeling, waterfalls, riding the scooter, just beautiful nature. I wanted to be open to this being more than just a few weeks, more than a month. I don't know how long it's going to last. My plan anyways is to come at it with an open mind and be optimistic that this could be a few months of me living here or much longer. And that's where keeping my place in Cebu just didn't make sense at all. Moving for me, guys, it's always going to be an easy thing for me to pivot and go somewhere else. What is home? What is a home base, right? As long as you have a comfortable place to stay and you know some people and you have some friends and you can keep your routine going of healthy living, for me anyways, healthy living, some hobbies, going to the gym, spending time with quality people. That's pretty much what it's all about. So pivoting and picking up, a couple of backpacks that you have and carrying on to another area where you still know people, it doesn't feel like starting over. And this is not for everyone. But if this relates to you, I wanted to kind of share my thinking on this whole bounce around, move around, trying different places. By the way, some of this comes down to also where you're at in life. It comes down to, do you have a partner? Are you settling down a little bit? Are you just 100% single? Do you like nightlife? What stage are you at in your life? Will determine what place and at what time in your life makes the most sense for you to do that. I might end up in BGC. I got a really good friend that lives in BGC. I think BGC is awesome for a lot of reasons. I think there's a lot of great places to live and they all offer something different and unique. So I'm driven by my passion. I'm driven by how I feel in the moment. I'm driven by the timing in my life. I'm driven by my YouTube channel and business related stuff that I'm working on. All of this is going to factor into where I end up living at any given moment, and also, wanting to experience new things. And it's also interesting that I look at that as a research for making content. Like the more I do and the more places I go, the more I'm learning and experiencing for my own personal gain, but for also having more things to talk about and share on my channel, which is a big focus for me. I want to do as much as I can, and we can't do this kind of thing forever. And some of you guys I know relate to this because I've had many conversations about it. And other guys are over it. They don't want to travel anymore, or maybe they're just not interested in it. To each their own, guys. But for me, it feels right. And I have a good sense of what I feel brings purpose to someone's life. And for me to change my life, it doesn't mess that up, as long as I feel I have good connections with people and I'm not just whimsically roaming around without purpose. And that's the kind of thing that you guys should consider, is to make sure you have your purpose, your hobbies, ways that you can be productive if you're still working. And if not, there's many things that you can do to feel fulfilled. And the social thing is different for everyone, but some element of social and connection with the community definitely helps too. Anyways, guys, now that I got that out of the way, to make some sense of all my bouncing around and why I moved here from Cebu City, my next thing that I want to talk about is, if you guys also want to have a unique lifestyle here in the Philippines, and thinking about living in Manila or Cebu just does nothing for you. And I know there's a lot of you guys, I've talked to a lot of guys that they have no desire to make this big change in their life just to go live in a city with traffic. And, you guys that want to do something like this and you envision yourself in a dreamy place and you have that beautiful white sand and you have the reef and you have all this kind of stuff, it's not necessarily easy to just make that happen while also maintaining some of your other possible expectations, right? As far as things that you can't deal with, whether it be the roosters, whether it be the karaoke, whether it be the dogs. When you're getting into these kind of places, you're now in the province, right? You're not just in the bubble in BGC, you're kind of out in the province. So that's one thing. Another thing is going to be, this is a big point to make. So when it comes to beautiful, tropical, dreamy places, guys, you have two options. Most places that are tropical, beautiful, dreamy places have developed into tourist spots in the Philippines, right? For obvious reasons. So when it comes to living in a tourist spot, to be able to embrace the beauty that area has, one of the biggest challenges is the cost of living there. It's going to be more expensive, and it's also going to be harder to find a setup, because most of the nice places that you're going to want to live in, the places that have been fixed up, that are comfortable, that are in the good location, they are vacation rentals, right? Obviously, they're going to maximize what they can get from that property. Now, on the positive side of all of this, though, with it being touristy, is that things have developed. Things are being built in these areas to make it nice and give you more options of things to do, better restaurants like Siquijor and Siargao and all these tourist spots that I've been to. It's not hard to find a kick-ass restaurant to go to with some atmosphere. And here in Siquijor, I'm actually impressed so far. There's a lot I haven't checked out yet, but over the last 3 years, it's developed quite a bit. Bunch of new, really cool resorts where you don't even have to stay there, but you can go there and eat at the restaurant, and it's up on the jungle mountain with the view of the ocean and really cool atmosphere. There's just a lot of stuff like that in Siquijor and these other places that you're only going to get that because it is a touristy spot. So you pay more, but now you still have access to all this other stuff to enjoy your lifestyle more. You know, to flip it around and talk about beautiful areas of the Philippines, which there are, that have amazing beaches and nature and just that mind-blowing stuff. If it's not touristy, it's remote. Those are your two options when it comes to the beautiful, dreamy nature, tropical paradises in the Philippines. It's either really remote and it doesn't have all of that. It doesn't have all the restaurants and all the stuff that you might probably want in an area that you're going to live, but it's going to be cheaper, but also the accommodations, you're still going to be limited on finding maybe what you're looking for, but it is going to be cheaper. And you're going to have maybe that beach to yourself. Like when I was in Dinagat Island, now this was a couple of years ago, it's probably picked up a little bit because they were really trying to get more tours coming through there, but it's still considered a off the beaten path place in the Philippines. It is probably the most beautiful place I've been to. And a lot of that has to do with it just not being touristy and not being crowded. The water was so clean and so clear. You can see 50 feet down and just amazing water, pure white powder sand, incredible backdrop, jungle and limestone cliffs. Dinagat Island is amazing. And there's nothing stopping any of us from going there to live. You can live that perfect, dreamy place, but you're going to have a lot of setbacks. You're going to be the only foreigner that lives there. That's another thing too. I'll circle back to that. But you're going to have a lot of things that might be challenging for you, that are not comfortable for you, and trying to find the place. But man, you're going to be living total tropical paradise lifestyle. So those are your two options, guys. And I mentioned foreigners. Yeah, a lot of guys want to just be on their own and not be around any foreigners. That's fine. And meet locals. That's totally cool. But I think the majority would like to have a few expat friends that they can relate to. And coming to a place like Siquijor or another popular tourist destination, you're always going to find other expats that live in that area. And then at a minimum, they're coming, right? Maybe they live in Cebu. Like I got some buddies in Cebu that are planning on coming here in September. They're going to do a trip out here and enjoy Siquijor for a few days. And, you know, living here, you have that connection with those guys. And then I'm meeting guys that are living here now full time that have been here for a while. And so you can make friends in a place like this. Even though it's a small island, there's foreigners that are drawn to these places. So it gives you an opportunity to have a little bit of a community. This is a cool thing. So the neighbors that I have here are really nice, and they've put me in touch with some different groups and, you know, Facebook groups and things like that. It seems to be, I'm still settling in. I haven't been able to join them for anything, but they do a lot of like social outings where they'll do a beach cleanup together, or they'll do a waterfall day together, and they'll bounce around to a few. They did a bonfire night. They did a beach cleanup and then a bonfire at night, like somewhere on the beach, which is kind of cool. I don't know what area or what beach that is, but that's pretty fun. They do a ton of different things, a lot of nature focused or barbecue get-togethers, and it's a pretty large group. I've checked out the postings that they're putting, and what's really cool is it's a good mix. It's a good mix of Filipinos and foreigners, and the foreigners, they're diverse. It's not just all Americans or all Canadians, or it's like this mix of guys. There's a bunch of Europeans, there's a couple of Americans, anyways, it's this nice variety of foreigners that live here in Siquijor, which I think is really cool. I like the variety, and I like that these groups, these social meetup groups, mixes in a lot of Filipinos too, which I think is awesome. So these are some things to consider, guys, and I'm going to be making a lot of videos over the next while. There's definitely, there's going to be new pros that I discover and new cons that I discover. Oh, before I forget, brownouts, right? Everyone's heard about the brownouts in Siquijor, and Siquijor has definitely been one of the worst as far as the infrastructure in that regard. But anywhere you live outside of the major cities, guys, brownouts can happen here in the Philippines, and that's something that can be definitely annoying, and you have to sort of make sure you have the right setup, or you live in a place that has the right setup to overcome the brownouts. So my experience so far, since I've been back here, there's been one brownout that lasted an hour over the course of several days. So apparently, it depends who you talk to, but apparently they've done a bunch of stuff to fix it. The president was here, put a lot of pressure on. I've talked to other people that say it's just a Band-Aid job. They're just using refurbished generators and yada, yada. I don't know what's going on with that. You know, I want to be optimistic about it. You know, it's unfortunate for those that don't have the generators and don't have solar. I'm living at a place that has a generator where even if the power goes out, I still have aircon, I still have Wi-Fi, I still have water pressure the way that they have it set up here. And a lot of places have that kind of setup. I've met people that are 100% off the grid, just solar, Starlink. They have their battery for all their solar energy that they bring in, and they're totally fine. They're like, it's no issue at all. I've met several people like that. So it really depends on what setup you have, where you're going to stay. But it's not to say that it's not going to become some issue, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it stays like this or it gets better. But I'm going to talk all about that, and I'll be straight up with you guys on how good it is or how bad it is. Let's see what other things to consider. That's the biggie, guys. Roosters, definitely have some roosters out here. I'm kind of used to them already, but you might not be okay with that. Make sure before you live somewhere, guys, check out the noise factor. Karaoke is very common in the province, and it can happen at any given time. Some places are worse than others. Anywho, I think I've covered enough for now to give you some thoughts, my thoughts, things for you to consider. And stay tuned, because I'm going to be making a bunch of videos talking about life on a tropical island, my favorite island in the Philippines. I love a lot of islands and places, but Siquijor is just, it's so kick-ass. There's so many cool things to do here. And yeah, it's cool. It seems to be trending in this good direction. They can just get the infrastructure figured out, and they're talking about getting the airport going. Some love that, some don't. But I almost forgot. I wanted to mention that. There is full-on plans that are, I think, well on the way to be able to fly in like the Cebu Pacific, the turboprop airplanes, the same ones that will fly you to all the other tourist destinations in the Philippines. So it sounds like it would be direct from Manila, direct from Cebu to come to Siquijor, which I think is a game changer. Like I said, some people will hate that. The locals are maybe not happy with that. And some foreigners that live here might not be happy with that. But to be able to live here and then fly direct to Manila and fly to Cebu when you want to get to the city for any reason or travel on to another spot, that changes a lot as far as living here. Otherwise, 40-minute fast cat over to Dumaguete, or it's about 4 hours to get to Cebu City. And then Bohol is about less than 2 hours from here to get to Tagbilaran. So that's enough, guys. I've been rambling for a while now. Hopefully that helps give you some perspective on things to think about. Stay tuned for more content. Living in Siquijor, beautiful tropical island in the Philippines. Awesome spot. Take care, guys. Bye.